Hey, what's going on, everyone? I know a lot of people want the 2008 ROH shows reviewed. A lot of people are interested in it, and it kind of got me thinking. With Tyler Black's Best of DVD coming out, Fade to Black, looking at a lot of those matches, just kind of reminded me of how awesome 2008 was. So, actually, I have a Word document from 2009. I actually did a buyer's guide. I'm sorry, buyer's guide on my suspended account in a music video. So I did that, and I still have it saved. So I figured I'd just run it back down and just quickly review each show from 2008, so you guys could know what to stay away from and what to pick up from 2008, which is a pretty underrated year. A lot of stuff happened. A lot of the shows were pretty awful towards the end of the year, but still, as far as match quality goes, I would say 2008 probably had more depth than any other year in ROH history. I thought it was a great year. I thought it was a lot better than 2009. It's just my opinion. And they put on some ultra blowaway shows in 2008. Like the top 5 shows from this year were just insane. So yeah, really quickly, I'm going to review 40 shows in one video. We'll see if I don't even know if I could do this, but I'll give it a try. All right. Number 40, the worst show of the year, Escalation. This show was awful. This is the worst show in ROH history. Adam Pearce just fucking treated the show like shit. Just show just gave you absolutely nothing. As a bonus match, you get Samoa Joe versus Tyler Black from Rising Above, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Number 39, I'm going to go with Transform from Edison, New Jersey. Very, very depressing show. The main event was Age of the Fall and the Briscoes versus Age of the Fall versus the Vulture Squad and the Briscoes in a pretty insane street fight. But overall, this is a very depressing show with a very, very, very mediocre crowd. Next up, 38, Battle for Supremacy. This featured Nigel versus Adam Pearce, NWA champion versus ROH champion. Even Gabe Sapolsky thought the show sucked. I didn't think it was that bad. Chris Hero versus Roderick Strong was a good match, but besides that, pretty average show, pretty mediocre, pretty bad actually for a ROH show. Number 37, I'm going to go Return of the 187. Homicide return with LEX. There was like a 4-way tag team scramble match in the main event with like Age of the Fall, David Richardson, Rocky Romero. It just didn't come off that well with me. I thought it was a poor choice for a main event. These Homicide shows were pretty much the end of Gabe Sapolsky, so that was from Connecticut. Like I said, just a really bad, this is pretty much the definition of a C or D show. Number 36, Wrestling at the Gateway from Collinsville, Illinois, the St. Louis debut for ROH. Mediocre, pretty much besides Austin Aries and Tyler Black, the show pretty much gave you nothing. A pretty awful undercard. I thought Adam Pearce had a really, really tough time at first. For like his first 4 or 5 months, he just delivered atrocious undercards. Number 35, I'm going to go with Ring of Homicide 2. This featured the Briscoes versus LAX. A pretty average show, I talked to people and they said Kerry Silken was walking around the arena. Noticed that people were pissed off, and after the show, Gabe Sapolsky ended up getting fired. So, number 34, I'm going to go with Southern Hostility. This took place in TNA area, Memphis, Tennessee. I think it was Memphis, yeah. A featured Jerry Lynn versus Nigel McGuinness, a great main event there that really escalated the feud between Nigel and Jerry Lynn. Then you had Claudio Castagnoli and Bryan Danielson in a fight with an honor match, which was good. So a good double main event, but the rest of the show was pretty forgettable. 33, Night of the Butcher 2. Some people would say this is the worst Chicago show ever. But it's pretty underrated, though, because there are some good matches. You had El Generico and Tyler Black. You had Austin Aries and Bryan Danielson taking on Claudio Castagnoli. The new heel Claudio Castagnoli and Nigel McGuinness. So some good matches on it, but the main event, Jimmy Jacobs and Necro Butcher, pretty poor choice for a main event in Chicago. I don't know what they were thinking. Number 32, Fueling the Fire, featured the Motor City Machine Guns and Bryan Danielson and Austin Aries in a Dream Tag Team matchup. Went to a 20-minute time limit. That was probably like the only must-see match on the show. Then you had Age of the Fall versus Pro Wrestling Noah's Go Shiozaki and Naomichi Marufuji in a good main event, but the rest of the show is pretty forgettable. I think Nigel fought Ruckus in like a 5-minute match for the championship or something like that. What else is on? What's the next show? 31, Double Feature. They filmed this show during the taping of The Wrestler featuring Mickey Rourke. And they give you 2 shows on one DVD, so it's a pretty good deal, but they're pretty average shows. Number 30, I'm going to go with Age of Insanity. This took place in Cleveland. Featured Nigel McGuinness versus El Generico and a match of the year candidate for sure. Awesome match. Besides that, the show is pretty average, but it's not terrible, though. There were some pretty intriguing matchups on it. I think Aries fought Black in a pretty decent match. So, number 29, I'm going to go with Bedlam in Beantown. This featured Davey Richards versus Kota Ibushi. Not as good as their Evolve match, but this was still pretty awesome, though. A pretty underrated show. You had Eric Stevens versus Nigel for the title. You had Kevin Steen versus Necro Butcher in a fight without honor match, a street fight, a Boston street fight, which was pretty awesome too. So it's pretty underrated. 28, The French Connection. I wasn't a big fan of the show. A lot of people are a lot higher on it than I am. You had Go Shiozaki, El Generico, Kevin Steen, and Nigel in the main event, like a four-way elimination match. Wasn't really feeling it. David Richards versus Roderick Strong actually was pretty decent. Not their best match, probably their worst match. And yeah, it was a pretty good show. I'm not gonna lie, it's still good. Number 27, Eye of the Storm. This is kind of like a friendly little friendly little tournament that not a lot of people saw because there was a snowstorm, so they had to redo the card. Kevin Steen actually won a tournament. It's nice. It's like I said, it's a nice friendly tournament, a feel good moment there. I think Kevin Steen defeated Go Shiozaki in the finals. Number 26, I'm going to go up for grabs. This was a tag team title tournament, which is pretty good, though. A lot of people like it. Tyler Black and Jimmy Jacobs won the tag team championships and the vacant tag team championships because the Briscoes, Mark Briscoe got hurt, so they had to vacate the tag team titles. And the main event really set up a big match between the Age of the Fall and Kevin Steen and El Generico, so that was a good storyline advancement. Number 25, I'm going to go with Injustce. A very underrated show. Really good stuff. Claudio Castagnoli versus Kodak Belushi was great. Kevin Steen took on Nigel in the main event, which was pretty awesome, and the Briscoes won the tag team championships back, so it was good. Number 24, Southern Navigation, Manassas, Virginia debut. Bryan Danielson versus Tyler Black had a match in this show, which was awesome. And then the main event, we had the No Remorse core, Rocky Romero, Davey Richardson, Rocky Romero, and Roderick Strong, taking on Morishima. I think Morishima, Go Shiozaki, and Morishima, Marufuji, and Go Shiozaki in a great matchup there. Pro Wrestling Noah versus ROH. So can't really complain about that. Number 23, Without Remorse, Chicago show, very, very underrated. Nigel McGuinness versus Roderick Strong, probably the most underrated match of the year. You had a great Ultimate Tag Team Endurance matchup. A lot of good stuff in the show. El Generico versus Claudio Castagnoli, a rematch from the Race to the Top tournament. So that was good. Bound by Hate is awesome, actually. You had Jimmy Jacobs versus Austin Aries in a really, really bloody dog collar match. What else? I can't remember a lot about the show. You had Briscoes versus Kevin Steen and El Generico one more time, which was really, really good. You had Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson, and Tyler Black in a very, very refreshing three-way match. Yeah, Breakout. Breakout was awesome. Pretty awesome. You had Tyler Black and Danielson. The first time they ever had a match, which was, a lot of people thought that was the match of the year for 2008. And you had Nigel versus Chris Hero in a cage match, which was mediocre, but it was still entertaining, though. Number 20, Battle of the Best from Japan. You had Davey versus Roderick Strong. David Richards versus Roderick Strong had probably their best match in Ring of Honor. And Nigel McGuinness and Bryan Danielson had a awesome non-title match. A lot of good stuff in the show. Pretty good, not amazing, but good stuff. Glory by Honor 7 at number 19. Tough Glory by Honor to sit through. Very, very tough. Very, very long. Featured a Steel Cage Warfare match. Featured the awesome Danielson versus Nakajima match. But a very tough show to sit through. Proving Ground. Proving Ground is underrated. The first show of the year. This is probably the best first show ever in ROH history. Best first show of the year for ROH. In ROH history, what I'm trying to say. It had an awesome Ultimate Endurance match. You had Austin Aries versus Eric Stevens, which is extremely underrated. Eric Stevens probably his best match ever. Number 17, New Horizons, featured Tyler Black and Danielson, the best Danielson-Tyler Black match without a doubt. And you had Nigel versus Claudio Castagnoli, a lot better than their match from a new level. So great double main event there. Number 16, All-Star Extravaganza 4 from Philadelphia. This would have been a lot better if Gabe Sapolsky booked it. He had a lot of stuff in store for this show. But he still had a lot of talent on the show, a lot of stacked talent. The whole card was pretty much stacked. You had Geraldine and Danielson in the main event, which was a pretty good main event. But from top to bottom, this show featured a lot of great matches. Number 15, Tag Wars 2008. You had some great tag team matchups. You had the Briscoes versus Austin Aries and Kota Ibushi, which was great. You had Motor City Machine Guns versus Age of the Fall. So you had two epic tag team matches right there. Number 14, the Tokyo Summit. This featured a great Japanese wrestling match. I think you had Kota Ibushi and Nakajima, Kenta and Marufuji all in the same tag team match. I can't remember the exact teams, but that was a match of the year candidate for sure. And Jimmy Jacobs versus Nigel, a lot of people liked that match. You had Danielson actually won the GHC Junior Heavyweight Championship from Connemara, which was very underrated. Number 13, I'm going to go with Vendetta 2. Vendetta 2 was awesome. You had Jimmy Jacobs and Austin Aries in a great main event grudge match. You had Claudio and Danielson in an awesome face versus face match. So yeah, you had a lot of good stuff in the show. You had Nigel versus Jerry Lynn. A great show right there. Next up, number 12, I'm going to go Respect Is Earned 2. This is probably the most underrated ROH pay-per-view. You had Roderick Strong versus Eric Stevens in a fight with an honor match. Oh, man, you had Tyler Black and Jimmy Jacobs versus Austin Aries and Bryan Danielson for the tag team titles in the main event, which was an awesome match. Number 11, we're going to go with Driven 2008. This is when Kevin Steen and El Generico defeated the Agents of Fall to win the tag team championships. A great match there, match of the year candidate for sure. Then you had Nigel versus Roderick Strong, which is very underrated. Number 10, I'm going to go with The New Level. This is the first show to ever take place in the Hammerstein Ballroom. And yeah, it could have been a lot better. Very, very disappointing. I was kind of depressed when I saw this live. I was just going through some emotional things. So, but you know, looking back on it, I do appreciate the show. So I kind of have like, for sentimental value, I kind of appreciate the show in a weird kind of way. But yeah, like it was a pretty stacked card though. But I thought some of the matches kind of underdelivered. Number 9, I'm going to go Rising Above 2008. You had Nigel McGuinness versus Bryan Danielson, arguably their best match ever, some people would say. So, and then you get Jimmy Jacobs and Austin Aries in the awesome I Quit match. Number 8, I'm going to go with Dragon Gate Challenge 2. Awesome show. I mean, they brought the Dragon Gate guys in. The Speed Muscle versus Steen and Generico. A lot of people thought that was the best tag team match of 2008. So yeah, definitely check that out. It was great. Return Engagement at number 7 featured Motor City Machine Guns and the Briscoes. The rematch, you know, awesome match right there. Yeah, El Generico versus Kodak Belushi. These two guys almost stole the show. They probably did steal the show. Probably the best match on that show, which was awesome. Number 6, I'm going to go to the 6th anniversary show. Featured the best storytelling match between Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness. Awesome match. Austin Aries versus Go Shiozaki was awesome. I really enjoyed the 6th anniversary show. Number 5, Take No Prisoners 2008. Featured the awesome Tyler Black, Nigel McGuinness match, and Tyler Black became the star. Featured another great Aries versus Danielson match. Number 4, I'm going to go with Northern Navigation. Ring of Honor's debut in Canada. This show was stacked. It was amazing. Everyone check it out. Featured Nigel versus Kevin Steen in a classic ROH World title match. Number 3, I'm going to go with Final Battle 2008. Awesome final battle. You know, you had Danielson finally defeated Morishima in the main event. You had Nigel versus Marufuji, which was excellent. You had Aries versus Black. The aftermath of that was awesome with Aries turning heel. So check out Final Battle 2008. Number 2, I'm going to go with Death Before Dishonor 6. Awesome show from top to bottom. Probably the best wrestling show I've ever seen live. I mean, I can't say enough about this. Featured the match of the year for 2008, in my opinion, featuring Danielson versus Claudio versus Nigel McGuinness versus Tyler Black. Nigel actually retained. Number 1, Supercard of Honor 3, one of the best Ring of Honor shows of all time. Check out Supercard of Honor 3. I'll probably do like full reviews of the top 4 shows: Northern Navigation, Final Battle, Death Before Dishonor 6, and Supercard of Honor 3. I think those shows will probably get their own review down the road. But yeah, so this is the Buyer's Guide for 2008. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.